right, kids. If you're looking for black fatigue, then you're not going to find it in a city here in Ohio called East Jackson that was created for the sole purpose of segregating those that looked black to local officials from Waverly. Waverly was an anti-abolitionist, anti-black, former, but may still be, I don't know. I ain't going there, even though it's only an hour-and-a-half drive from where I live, Sundown Town, that was established nearly 200 years ago. Some forced to stay in East Jackson weren't even black. They were blue-collar workers deemed to be second-class citizens. Quote, but because they all lived in East Jackson, grew up together, and were treated as black by law, a community that identified as black took root. And they look and sound like this.
You know, this country is prejudiced, always have been, and it never will grow out of it. And I ain't gonna tell you about my race. My mom raised me as Negroes. Oh, I had a lot of people ask me, say, why did your mom raise you as a Negro? I said, that's what I am. They said, yeah, but you don't show it. I said, it's gonna come a time where white won't accept you and the Negroes will accept you. I said, I'll wait it out. That's about all you can do.
Came through dripping for the people. The one drop rule. Today we're going to talk about black fatigue, a term describing mental exhaustion from constant focus on black related issues on the part of white people. Even though, as can clearly be seen, and we will get back to that town later, but those who at least pass as white don't grow tired or weary about blackness. However, black fatigue is also apparently experienced by black people based on how we present ourselves in public.
That's why in the black community, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, you are acting white when they're talking to someone like myself who doesn't act the way most people would expect a conventional black person to act. In their minds, there is a correct way to act black. And the people in your ethnic group who fulfill those very negative stereotypes, those are the ones who are going to essentially drag down the collective whole.
That's Damani Bryant Felder. America first, always, America flag emoji. And of course, he thinks for himself. Well, look, maybe he just so happens to share the same thoughts as white people. Only not the dope people from East Jackson, but the coronavirus is a liberal hoax designed to take down Trump's starter pack meme that he's trying to single-handedly recreate with his TikTok account. Anyway, Felder made it seem like black people's negative behavior is what draws in attention, which is what needs to be addressed, as opposed to why a spotlight is on select black people to begin with. And to be fair, he did say the powers that be want us against one another instead of against those who really pull the strings. But if he believes that black folks who fulfill negative stereotypes are dragging down the collective whole, isn't he naming the real problem? White America doesn't have to go through this with their select individuals and how they carry themselves, so there's that. Meanwhile, some are dying to be black.
Welcome to the Hollywood sign. Last time I visited it with blonde hairs and white skin, and now I'm a black woman with African hairs.
Dyeing themselves black. Some are dyeing themselves black. Martina Big, who must have gotten the bad batch of the black super soldier serum that Rachel Dolezal gave herself. Martina Big is German and was born with blonde hair and blue eyes. She has sparked outrage after saying she identifies as a black woman after injecting melanin to darken her skin and installing a 50-tube sunbed in her home. Her and her husband plan on moving to Africa, a continent that she feels she has a deep connection to. They have Kenya and Namibia on their short list, so watch out Wakanda. In addition to lip procedures and wanting to widen her nose, Martina Big is looking forward to getting boobs bigger than the 32 T's that are Europe's largest breasts and hold up the entire not continent. That's how small it really is. All of this begs several questions. 1, when's the last time she saw her feet? 2, why isn't her behavior a reflection on white people at large? And 3, who's gonna claim her? Because
if you look through the pictures of Verda Wagner Bird's life in Newton, Kansas, it's a good one. She was the daughter of railroad porter Ray Wagner and his wife Edwina. Life was good.
I'm comfortable with being a black woman.
The couple adopted her back in the 1940s. She found out but never questioned her race. But her story of privilege and progress turned over a shocking page. At age 70, she found out she was white.
She would go on to say in that interview that the Denny's she mentioned didn't have a second floor and wanted her and her husband to eat in the jailhouse. This took place in the 70s, 1970s America. Verda Bird is black. That's what she claims. I got to thinking about this subject even before black fatigue started trending on TikTok. A few weeks ago, I saw a tweet featuring former NFL quarterback Michael Vick with his family and someone saying, "I love when fully black men create and raise fully black children." And what the hell does that mean?
Hey, y'all, before we part and go our separate ways and everybody go to their respective sundown and sunup towns, I just want to point out that my daddy go on this side. I know it look like he might go on the other side, but he go on this side. Right. He eat pork chop sandwiches and Seagram's gin. Like, he go on this side. Like, our community know our community, even if it's lightly coded. So, I just want to go ahead and clear up any confusion.
Her daddy is in the culture and of it, right? He's on this side. Could you tell that she was biracial? Does it matter? When discussions about mixed people come up, depending on your experience, usually somebody is fully black if they have two black parents. And what does that prove? Are we talking biologically black? If a swirl baby can manage to have darker skin, then what do we say? Let me know. I got skin in the game. The children my wife and I invented are black and indigenous Guarani people. Notice how I didn't say half this and half that. My boys aren't Arnold Palmers. It's reductive. Dismissing people to fractions ain't the move. Y'all ain't good at math. If your heritage is African, what happens if it's Algerian or Egyptian or Moroccan? Still black, or is that reserved for sub-Saharan part of the continent? Do we have to get into phenotype versus genotype? Besides, in a study conducted by 23andMe population geneticists, they found that the average African-American genome, for example, is 73.2% African, 24% European, and 0.8% Native American. Cheekbones. Which means that most of us are just under 3/4 black. I brought this up in a previous video. How many people will acknowledge that they're 3/4 black? So, going back to culture and conduct.
Black fatigue is a thing. Newsflash.
Pause it right there. We should already know what time it is when King Millennial ENT says newsflash. Newsflash, buddy, is one of white people's best catchphrases.
White people don't want to live around ratchet black people, and black people don't want to live around ratchet black people. I mean, it's nothing like going to the Walmart on a Sunday morning, and then you see the Bonnet Crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere, in every aisle, unattended.
It's Walmart. You get the most interesting of every ethnicity there. It's how they keep their prices so low. That and slave labor and underpaying their employees. And real quick, do you think he would have a problem if he saw these people wearing bonnets on a Sunday morning? Or how about this kind of bonnet? I know that Ish from the Joe Budden podcast has fried some brains and highlighted barbershop intellectualism, but need I remind y'all that black fatigue is also a legit psychological phenomenon? It's the exhaustion born of the day-to-day small acts of aggression or small acts of disrespect a black person endures, the endless need to prove your worth, and the constant exposure to news about injustice and violence being inflicted on people who look like you. According to a report by the American Heart Association, structural racism is defined as the normalization and legitimization of an array of dynamics, historical, cultural, institutional, and interpersonal, that routinely advantage white people while producing cumulative and chronic adverse outcomes for people of color. Therefore,
Trump administration, they're saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better and they're also not as much of a security risk. That's really causing a lot of people to be appalled, frankly. And I also should tell people that this violence that they're talking about that are dealing with these Afrikaners, I've been hearing from people that say there is violence in South Africa, but it's affecting everybody of every single race, Katie.
The policy of importing white South Africans as refugees while advocating for the mass deportation of Hispanic and Latino individuals raises concerns about racial bias. Evidence shows white South Africans remain economically privileged, with limited proof of systematic persecution, as the South African government and reports suggest. In contrast, the targeting of Hispanic and Latino communities appears disproportionate. That per Grok when asked if it would be racist to import explicitly white people to immigrate to your country while actively calling for the mass deportation of Hispanic and Latino individuals. There's brown fatigue too. And something else that's being shared on TikTok as we speak.
I just need to remind y'all again, everyone who is ginger, who has red hair, those are black people. All gingers are black people. If they have red hair, they are black. You see a white man with red hair, that's a black man. You see a white woman with red hair, that's a black woman. Gingers are black. All gingers.
Red fatigue. Historically, I'm not suggesting that Irish or Hispanic or Latin or Native Americans or Chinese or South Asian or Jewish peoples have been through what black folks have been through in America, past or present. Yet, well-meaning white friends and aspiring allies can help by being willing to address problems they see. And who better than to be on this side than the white passing people of East Jackson, Ohio, who have the word Negro on their birth certificates. They married across racial lines and had multiracial children. Over generations, as fewer black people sought this area out, black heritage thinned out, but black identity did not. The town functions as a microcosm of what African Americans have to deal with in America. I'm wondering if they get white fatigue with themselves. I'm not saying middle America can and will and should save us. We don't want that. After all, they're the ones who are tired of us. And those black conservatives from earlier, y'all know how beavers just have to stop bodies of water from flowing? Can't help it. Yeah, black conservatives seem to need to disrupt black people from simply existing, flowing. Minding their business isn't their thing. They're more disinterested in culture and conduct than white people, yet European Americans somehow aren't weary about certain parts of it.
So y'all know this haircut, the broccoli haircut? I don't know if that's what it's really called. I don't know. I like to call it the broccoli haircut, where the guys have the curly hair. Okay, let me show you this tweet I found. And then this person said they're getting perms so they can look biracial. Somebody in the comments clocked that these boys are trying to emulate like Patrick Mahomes' hair, like this texture of hair, short on the sides, long curly at the top. And baby, I am gooped and gagged.
Weird. Black fatigue is just another excuse to complain about black people, the hood, and manual laborers. TikTok will do this again under a different trend and a new hashtag. And when that day comes, remember the words of the most disrespected doctor in barbershops all over the country, the anti-ish, Mark Lamont Hill.
That's why these writers kept writing written by himself, written by herself, Phyllis Wheatley, Frederick, because they thought Negroes couldn't read and write. They thought Negroes didn't have the capacity to read and write. And yet they made all the laws to stop us from learning how to do what? Read and write. If we can't read and write, what you trying so hard to stop us for? And the answer is because America has always known what you are. America has always known who you are. America has understood what you're capable of, and they will make you think you ain't nothing at the same time that they exploit your gifts. They'll tell you you lazy and make you a slave. They'll tell you you dirty and have you clean their house. They'll tell you you uncivilized and we raise their children. They know who you are. But it's time that you listen to who you are, that you understand who you are.
We're gonna be all right.